Swords, feel the wars, fighting my blood down to the core. Warriors from medieval age, fear the reign of night brigades. Crusades into the room, moving through the temples and tombs. Scared and place, prepare to face Professor Awesome and the minions of doom. 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 Professor Awesome and the minions of doom.
Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis is a very short novella. In fact, some have argued it's really more of a short story than a novella, but regardless, it's not that long. And yet the impact and the different ways that people have read it are so great. So when I was considering really how to talk to you about The Metamorphosis, I realized that one interesting thing about The Metamorphosis is that if it is possible to take a position on the Metamorphosis, someone has legitimately taken that position. I mean, it is commonly read as allegorical. It is commonly read as a critique of capitalism. It is commonly read as a critique of totalitarianism. It is commonly read as psychological, as being about original sin, as insert whatever thing you want to talk about here. Almost any way that you can think of, it has been read that way, and not read that way by stupid people or by crackpots, but by people who really understand it. I was considering talking about one particular approach to understanding the Metamorphosis, and last night I spoke with one of my colleagues, and I just asked her position on it. And she began talking, and I realized she took the exact opposite position that I was taking, and yet I don't think that her position was necessarily wrong. So I think the real lesson of the Metamorphosis is really more in the reception of the Metamorphosis, is really more in the way that people read it. Because the Metamorphosis really talks about alienation, our feeling of separation, our feeling that something's wrong with us or with our position in the world. But everyone who reads it seems to be able to place that alienation in a very real and emotional place in their own lives that's different from other people. And so I have no idea what Kafka thought he was writing. If we take a very strict new critical approach, I'm not sure that we can come to a definitive answer. But I can say this about the way it is received by people. Everyone feels that way sometimes. The sense that there's something wrong with you, that you are not the person that you were meant to be. The sense that you are somehow less than, or that you don't fit right into society. Everyone feels that way sometimes, and perhaps that's the real lesson of the Metamorphosis. So when we look at the Metamorphosis, of course, the shocking thing is Gregor Samsa being transformed into this giant insect or vermin or whatever he is. Yet, when we look at that, the other characters who don't appear to be bugs, they also seem to be in some way trapped or alienated from the society around them. In fact, the entire action of it, up until the last paragraph really, takes place either in Gregor Samsa's room or just immediately outside his room. It's not until the very end that they are able to emerge from the home and go outside. And it isn't clear, well, depending on one's interpretation, how we understand that can be wildly different. And so I'm not going to offer an opinion here, because I think it's more important to think about the Metamorphosis as this kind of universal sense. It's not just Gregor Samsa who feels like there's something wrong with his life, or that he's trapped, or that he is not who he's meant to be, or that he needs to be transformed, or he has been transformed against his will. The other characters feel that way, and all the other readers do too. Because of my job, I end up dealing with a lot of people who are in their late teens and early 20s, and it's common for them to say, there's something wrong with my life. I am in the wrong place. Nowadays, nowadays it's I was born in the wrong kind of body. But that's just a new iteration of an old problem, which is just this general feeling of there's something wrong. I don't belong in my family. I'm not the one. I'm the one outcast from my friends. I don't have a place that I should be. Everyone feels that way sometimes. And so ironically, I think that if we step back from the text of the Metamorphosis a little bit, and we look at the way that other people have reacted to the Metamorphosis, rather than feeling our alienation being greater, in some way by seeing that everyone else who reads it can feel alienated too, maybe it will just make us feel a little bit less alone.